establishment I regularly went to and said, do you take Apple Pay? And I asked them so many times, they finally got Apple Pay. So now I almost use Apple Pay exclusively, as many of us do. We went from long wait lines to instant response. And that's what we need to do in market research. But where are we, or where are many of us today in market research as we go and try to field trackers and then analyze the data? This is where we are. We're back in the teller line. This is a tab. A lot of us get our data from trackers in Excel sheets. This particular set of tabs has 385 tables. Each one of those has thousands or many thousands of data points from millions of data points. And analyzing that data and trying to come up with insights and then present them to our stakeholders, whether you're a market research firm giving it to an insights professional or an insights professional giving it to the head of a division or the head of marketing, the CEO, the CFO, whoever it is, it's just too slow. It comes out of the data, comes out of field, and pretty quickly, maybe UGAM in India or somebody in Bulgaria comes up with a set of tabs somewhere in the world, and you get to start looking at it. But week one is checking the quality, creating a set of standard PowerPoint slides. And in there, in the middle, there's a couple of go back and forth with the data processing people who put the slides together because there weren't cuts that you needed. And then in week two, you start to put together more standard slides to go to your stakeholders, your customers, and you create a set of 10 to 20 curated slides with the insights. And then by week three, you give the real presentation to people, either in person or just a set of PowerPoint slides. And increasingly, this is just too slow. Brands are doing more and more surveys. They're doing them more frequently, and they want the data immediately. So let me ask you, what if, just like going from a teller to Apple Pay, you could reduce the turnaround time from a couple of weeks to a day or two? Well, you actually can. It's time to go online for tracker analysis. And we're going to demo that to you today and explain the benefits of it. So the new workflow is that you're going to start halfway through fielding. The data is going to flow from your fielding system, whether it's your own custom one, or it's Decipher, or you're getting it from a market research firm, into a Crunch data set online in the AWS server. And in the easy-to-use drag-and-drop environment, you're going to self-serve, do your own exploration. You're going to find some insights before fielding is finished, and you're going to start preparing your insights reports and your dashboards. So day one, hour one, it's out of field. Then day one, hour zero, it's out of field. By hour one, because you've already been working with the data, you're already adjusted reports, you can deliver immediately standard reports and updated dashboard and some initial insights. Plus, for anybody you think can deal with it, you can, and wants it, they can have the full data online for their own self-serve exploration. That's day one, hour one. And then by day two or day three, you'll have had your eyes on the data much sooner. So you're going to get better insights faster and deliver those curated reports, integrated online and offline, much more quickly. And it's the same data, the same reports, online and offline, and people are going to increasingly look at them online more and more. Some industries are doing this faster than others. Certainly high tech, the Googles, the Metas and Facebooks of the world, the financial services, CPG and others are a little bit more of a laggard, but they're all increasingly wanting it online and much more quickly. So what Chris is going to demo for you now is Crunch, an interactive analysis capability to do crosstabs, visualization, reports. He's going to save a bunch of crosstabs and some charts and graphs in something called a deck. And then he's going to show you how you can deliver those in a dashboard, which can either be interactive or static, and to editable PowerPoint slides so you can make them look like whatever the marketing department wants them to look like. And you can still deliver your tabs, although what you're going to find is that increasingly people aren't using the Excel tabs because they don't need it. It's just too slow a way to do things. So, Chris, take it away and show them Crunch, please.
Thanks, Jeff. Like almost everything in Crunch, analyzing a dataset is done using simple drag and drop. All my questions from my survey are arranged into these neat folders here, and to view a simple table of one, all I need to do is click it. Now, if I want to see that variable crossed by another, to see it over time perhaps, I simply click and drag that wave variable, and as I start to do so, you can see that I'm presented with these drop zones. Each is labeled to tell me what to expect, so I'm going to bring this wave variable up here and drop it in this columns drop zone. And that's all I have to do to create a crosstab. But perhaps I want to see these results not for all respondents, but just for those who are from the US. For that, I just take this country variable here and start to drag that, and this time I'm going to place it in this filter by drop zone and let go. And then I'll choose the USA option, and now I'm just looking at the results for the US respondents. And remember that Crunch is calculating everything in real time here. Nothing is pre-calculated, which means that there's no limit to the combinations you can create. So far, we've been just looking at tables, but Crunch supports a variety of other visualization types, including these interactive line graphs, which are perfect for trackers, especially with great additional features such as smoothing, otherwise known as rolling averages, and these confidence interval bands. And if you want to drill down even further, you can add another variable to what we call tabs, which allow you to quickly flick between different categories of that variable and see the impact on your results. Once you've found an analysis that you're interested in, you can save it to what we call a deck. Analyses saved to a deck can be exported to both Excel tables and fully editable PowerPoint presentations. And a deck of analyses can become a dashboard in just a few clicks. And I'll show you that in a moment. But first, let's have a look at that PowerPoint export. As you can see, PowerPoint exports from Crunch use fully native PowerPoint objects, just as if you had made those analyses yourself in PowerPoint, enabling you to make any changes you wish. You can even upload your own PowerPoint template so that the exports come out into your look and feel. Back to Crunch, and let's save this analysis to this existing deck. We can see it here at the bottom. I'm now going to jump to that dashboard, and when I scroll to the bottom, you can see that same analysis now here on that dashboard. That's all I had to do to add it, just save it to the deck. But maybe I don't want it to be here on this first tab, so let's go into edit mode and choose to move it to this media consumption tab instead. There we go. But perhaps I want it over here, and perhaps a little wider, like so. Laying out dashboards in Crunch is so simple. Just click and drag to reposition, and drag these corners to resize. That's all there is to it. We'll see more from Crunch later, but for now, back to Jeff.
Chris, thanks for that. That's how you do analysis that's after the fact. How does Crunch handle trackers? How does the tracking data get into Crunch? How does a new wave get imported so it's ready to go so quickly?
So here we are in our brand health master dataset, and we can see that we have 64,858 cases. But of course, we're about to add some more. To append a new wave, we go to the Properties menu, we choose Append, we choose the dataset that we want to append. It's this one, Wave 11. We can see all the variables that it contains. We can choose to exclude some if we wanted to, and we click Append. Done. We click View, and now we have our appended wave added to that original dataset. The first thing to note is that our number of cases has gone up to 71,326. And we can see that it's been done. We come in here to Time and Geography and choose Wave. We can see we now have November, where previously it was only to October. And we can also see in our categorical wave variable, we now have number 11. If we go to our dashboard, we can see that this time series chart here now has data for November. We didn't need to do anything. There was nothing to update. It's just automatically added to these charts. With Crunch, that's all it takes to append a new wave.
Well, thanks, Chris. That looked incredibly easy, but I've heard that trackers are hard, really hard. If it's that easy, why haven't people already gone online for survey data analysis? What's so hard about it?
There's no denying that trackers can be challenging. On paper, at least, you set up the first wave just like any other ad hoc project, and then sit back and watch as every new wave just seamlessly lines up with the first. So why is it never like that in reality? So what can you do to make trackers more manageable? The most obvious thing, perhaps, is to instill greater discipline in your process. The ideal solution to variable IDs that don't match between waves is to make 100% sure that you don't change any. The ideal solution to managing new categories added between waves is to not add any. Just don't make any changes and you'll be fine. But that's not the real world. Surveys are scripted by humans, and humans produce typos, such as when a hyphen is used instead of an underscore in a variable name, and now it's treated as a whole new variable. And then there are all the expected changes, like when a new territory gets added that has some country-specific questions. Other please specify options get added. Some brands need to be added, and others removed as the retail landscape changes, and so many more. There's nothing easy about managing these situations with traditional market research workflows. You'll typically only notice there's a problem when the researcher receives their set of tables and things don't look right. So then the problems need to be compiled and reported to the data processing team, who need to investigate and track down the cause, perhaps tracing it to a typo in the survey script. And now they need to write a bunch more scripts to handle this exception. But in the meantime, perhaps the researcher has spotted that the additional questions for the new country have strange base sizes, because the respondents from the other countries are being incorrectly coded as chose not to answer, rather than not asked. So then you need another loop back to the data processing team, another diagnosis, and another fix. This is where the pain of trackers lies. There's nothing smart about this process. There's much too much back and forth between the researcher and the data processing team, and it's not a good use of either of their time.
Okay, I get it now. That it's really hard. It's not that easy. So how does Crunch handle all those very common challenges you talked about in getting that data uploaded and massaged and ready to go in Crunch? How does Crunch do that?
Crunch knows a thing or two about trackers, which is not surprising because we've worked with thousands on our platform. So we know what researchers actually need to make one successful, and we know the difference between a tracking study that's painful and one that's quick and easy. You may never achieve the dream of a completely hands-off process, but you can get close. Let's see what's involved in appending a new wave to an existing tracker using Crunch. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. For this demonstration, we're going to add on another wave to the brand health tracker project we've seen before. So now let's append wave 12. Same method as before. Properties, append. This time, dataset being wave 12, and append. Let's take a look. Now, some expected differences and some unexpected differences. So first of all, this new wave contained a new variable, Nike customer status. That's fine, but we'll want to organize it within the right position within these folders. I can also see that we have a new category, sketches, added to some of these variables. That's fine. New categories being added to datasets between waves happens all the time. Crunch handles that no problem. But there's an unwanted change too. Here we have top-of-mind aware as a separate variable, even though we have top-of-mind awareness already in the dataset. So how come these didn't come together? Let's have a look. So here we have an alias of TOM space aware, alias being Crunch's unique identifier for variables. And here we have an alias of TOM underscore aware. Okay, we understand the problem. We can see that in the most recent wave, somebody has decided to change the alias of this variable. These things happen, and we can fix it. So let's go back to properties, history, and let's go and restore a save point from when we'd appended wave 11 and not yet appended wave 12. There we go. We should close. And now, to make sure this merge works properly, I can come up to this variable and change it to match. Now, when we repeat that append, we find that that variable has been successfully merged in with the one top-of-mind awareness rather than giving us a separate one here. In terms of getting this variable into a nice location, probably within the purchase decision folder, I'm going to come in again to Properties and Edit Variables. And here it's just drag and drop. Like so many other things in Crunch, I just take this variable and just drag it into the purchase decision folder, and I'm done. That's all it took. And now here it is. So having resolved those two small issues, I can come back to my dashboard. You can see we now have December data. But look, that's interesting. A large uptick for our pretend client, Nike. We should let them know about this. So I'm going to double click on this analysis, and I'm going to save it a second time to my deck. That's going to give me a new version of it. You can see down the bottom here. And I've done that so that I can come into Edit Tile and change it to what we call a KPI widget, where the particular cell I'm interested in promoting or making clear to our client is this value here, this 17% for Nike in the most recent wave. I select that. Nike date is giving me that name automatically. I think that's pretty good. Top of mind awareness for Nike. And save. And I can position this anywhere within the dashboard. I might want to perhaps put it here. There you go. Nice and prominently there, perhaps. And done. So now we're ready to let the client know that the dashboard has been updated with the latest wave, and they're able to come in and see the new analysis that we've created too, all without needing the services of specialist dashboard creators, programmers, scripters, even a DP department. All of this can be done by anyone in a company and without specialist skills. As you saw there, updating a dataset with new cases in Crunch automatically updates dashboards. But the even better news is that it's not just dashboards. Crunch automatically updates all your filters, all your custom variables, all your saved analyses. Everything you've made in Crunch gets automatically updated with the new data. Crunch also offers a custom-built scripting language designed specifically for the needs of data processing teams to perform their tasks with survey research, enabling them to automate these stages for even quicker results. And you don't even need to wait until fieldwork is finished to do this. Any adjustments needed can be performed as soon as you have any new cases, meaning it can all be resolved during the fieldwork period, rather than causing any delays to your delivery. And by getting your results updated and available immediately after fieldwork closes, you can get eyes on the data really fast. If you're a brand, you don't have to worry about aligning and combining data at all. We offer white glove service to import and prepare the data for you, so you can focus on finding insights and delivering to your stakeholders.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So as you heard from him, whether you're a market research professional or an insights department, you can get the data up and running quickly. If you've got a DP department, they can use Crunch Automation and those other tools to get it up right away into Crunch. Or if you're a brand, you've got the white glove service, and either Crunch or your market research company will get it up into Crunch halfway through your fielding, maybe a week prior to completion. Then it'll be right there into Crunch as a usable data set. As soon as you're out of fielding in hour one, you'll be able to deliver all those reports and online dashboard. You'll have some insights ready so that 2 to 4 days later, you'll be able to deliver a fully curated, integrated online and offline report and maybe a presentation. Let me just say that the advantages of Crunch, to summarize: self-service, easy self-service in a drag and drop environment, lots of visualizations of data over time series, automatically appended tracker waves, and Crunch is built to scale to huge amounts of data. The biggest data points or the data sets are over 100 billion data points in Crunch in our AWS server. That's lots and lots of respondents answering lots and lots of questions. So we can scale to meet your needs as you collect more and more data into your trackers. So let's talk about one customer here in the last few minutes we've got. I'd like to talk about a financial services company who just demanded of all their vendors, they have 4 or 5 market research vendors, and they asked them to all get that data into Crunch so they could do online self-service themselves. They have a global insights team of about a dozen people, and they've got various insights teams around the world. They want to do their own analysis to build on what they get from their research agencies. They have, for example, a 46 country brand tracker that gets inputted into Crunch on a regular basis, and they no longer use tabs for that. They just don't get the data in spreadsheets, and they don't look at spreadsheets anymore. The goal is that they want to do more and more survey analysis with the same number of people so that they don't have to keep growing their team. And they've been very successful with it. So thanks for that. I believe now we've got a few questions to answer.
All right, thank you. Chris, a question for you. First, can you brand the dashboard with logos and colors from my client? Looks like we may have some technical difficulties. Chris, can you hear?
I could hear that. Maybe it works
Okay.
with my video.
Question is, can you brand the dashboard with logos and colors of my client?
Yes, you can. So yeah, dashboards do have flexibility for your logo, but that could actually also be your client's logo too. You can make that on a dashboard by dashboard basis. You can also choose either for all the graphs and stuff. You can also choose your company logo again. You can exchange and use the images within your dashboard. You know, put the logo or perhaps if it with an ad test and you want to show a picture of the ad, so you know, getting the image in that way would be achieved in the same way. So you know, you can customize in those ways. There's other programs as well throughout the app. So for example, the sub in the whole application, so something.crunch your
Sorry, everyone. It looks like there's some technical difficulties. I hope you can hear me clearly. The answer to the question, I believe Chris was getting at, is yes. The dashboards have flexibilities with logos, colors, client logos, and you can brand everything from the subdomain, interface brand logos and color palettes, custom PowerPoints, and other support areas. One other question we have is, how does the weighting work for trackers and waves? The most important thing with weighting trackers that you can weight by wave. It's no good if adding new wave updates your existing weights and thereby changes the results you'd previously reported on. So obviously Crunch does the right thing there. Every time you append a new wave, you either bring in weight variable created in some other software, or you can create it directly with Crunch. And the existing wave variables and the new weight variable will be combined automatically so that you'll be able to correctly weigh all the respondents in the data set. I believe that is all the questions for now. I'm happy to answer other questions separately, and thank you all for joining the showcase.
Thanks so much, Scott and Chris. Thanks for bearing with us with some technical issues, but we'll see you all in the next session.